This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between the organizer of a park run and a woman who wishes to take part in the run. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
Good morning, Dave Smith speaking.
Hi, could I speak to the organiser of the Preston Park Run?
Yes, that's me.
Great. I was talking to some friends of mine about the run and they suggested I contact you to get some more details.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, they said it takes place every Saturday. Is that right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great.
Do you know where the park is?
Oh, yes, I've been there before, but it's quite big and I'm not sure where to go.
Well, there's a circular track that goes right around the park. The run starts at the cafe, goes past the tennis courts, then twice around the lake and finishes back where it started.
Okay, and what time is the run?
Well, the actual run begins at 9 a.m, but the runners start arriving at about 8:45.
Okay, so I need to get up early Saturday morning then. And how long is the run?
Well, it used to be 3 kilometres, but most people wanted to do a bit more than that, so we lengthened it to 5 kilometres. We now go round the lake twice, and that adds an extra 2 kilometres.
Right. Not sure I've ever run that far, so I'd better start doing a bit of training.
That's a good idea. But it's not a race, it's really just for fun. And the best thing would be to take it easy the first few times you do it, and then see if you can gradually improve your time.
Is the run timed then? How do I know how well I've done?
When you cross the finish line, you'll be given a barcode, and you take this to one of the run volunteers who will scan it. Then you can get your time online when you go home.
Oh, I see. You collect all the results.
Exactly.
I see. That's great. So, how do I register?
Well, there are several ways. I could take your details over the phone, but it's much easier if you do it using the website.
Okay, good. I think that's probably all I need to know for now. Oh yes, does it cost anything to register, or do you collect money each week?
Well, it doesn't cost anything to register, but we do charge for the run. In fact, we have just increased the charge to £1.50. It used to be £1, but because we were making a bit of a loss, we have had to increase it by 50p.
Okay, thanks. I think I have enough information on taking part in the run.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at the questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
You mentioned volunteers. I have a friend who is interested in helping out. Can you give me some details so I can pass them on to her?
Sure. Well, you need to ask your friend to contact Pete Morn. He manages all the volunteers.
OK. I didn't quite catch his surname. Was it Morn? M-O-R-N?
No, just a bit more complicated. It's M-A-U-G-H-A-N.
Right, thanks. And could you give me his phone number?
Yes, just a moment. It's here somewhere. Let me just find it. I've 2 numbers for him. I think the one that begins 01273 is an old one, so use this one. It's 01444 73290.
OK, got that. Can you tell me anything about the volunteering? Like what kind of activities it involves?
Sure. Well, we need volunteers for basic stuff like setting up the course. We have to do that before all the runners arrive.
OK, so that's a really early start.
Yes, that's right. But if your friend would prefer to arrive a bit later, she can also help with guiding the runners so they don't go the wrong way.
I see. I believe you do a report on some of the races.
Yes, that's right. In fact, we do a weekly report on each race, and we always try to illustrate it.
OK. Well, my friend really likes taking photographs. She's just bought a new camera.
Actually, that would be great. I don't know whether Pete has anyone to take photographs this week.
Oh, I'll let her know.
OK, good. Could you ask your friend to phone Pete and let him know?
Yes, I will.
OK, thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1. Part 2.
You will hear a talk given to a group of international students about banking. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17.
Hello! Wow! Nice to see all you international students here today. Thanks for coming. I'm Penny from Finance. I wasn't expecting so many. They told me 30, but there must be at least 50. Anyway, for many, if not most of you, this is your first time in Australia. You may find our banking system similar to yours. Anyway, if you have any questions, could you leave them till the end? OK then, Well, step one for most international students is to open an account. Some of you have brought cash over from your country, and having worked with international student accounts for many years, I can tell you that the money often goes missing. Even if only for safety's sake, open a bank account. It's the safest place to put your money. Now, in Australia, we have 4 main banks, and lucky for you, all 4 are within walking distance of the school. First off, in Scarborough Street, we have the United Global Bank, or UGB as we call it. Next, we have the International Bank. When you walk into Pacific Plaza, you can't miss the big red sign on your right. The Pacific Bank is located in Key Plaza, just 100 metres down the street, and Town Bank, another international bank, is in Southport Park. Now, one of my jobs in student services is to locate the best bank accounts for our students from the neighbouring banks. I am happy to say that the banks in this area are quite competitive, and I've managed to locate 3 excellent accounts with various pros and cons. The first 2 are from the UGB. Firstly, the EasySaver account is very popular among international students. The reason for this is the low fees and the 10 ATM withdrawals per month. The other account that does well is the Quick Saver. The main reason for this is because once you open an account, there are no fees for the first 6 months. No one wants to pay fees, right? Now, the International Bank has what they call a student savings account. This account has been quite successful among our international students as well, especially for those who need a checking facility. The account offers a checkbook at no additional cost to you. The last of the popular student accounts is a study account, which is offered by Pacific Bank. The main advantage with this one is that the account can be linked to a credit card, which can also be helpful for students.
Before you listen to the rest of the presentation, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 18 to 20.
A lot of people, when they go to a bank to open an account, take with them all sorts of documents. I've seen some students take restaurant bill statements, rental agreements, even video rental cards. Well, these are not suitable for opening a bank account. When it comes to opening an account, just remember the 100-point system. Some items get higher points than others, but basically you can't go wrong with your passport as the primary form of identification. I think that's worth 75 points. Some students have a driver's license. This is a good secondary form of identification and it's worth 30 points. Another one that works well is a phone bill with your address on it. Any of these items will easily get you the 100 points needed to open an account. Okay, that finishes my part of the lecture.
That is the end of Part 2. Part 3.
You are going to listen to a conversation between 3 university students, Alice, Paul and Michelle. They are discussing various aspects of an upcoming biology assignment. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, Alice. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Paul. Where are you going with all those books?
Well, I'm preparing for my marine studies paper.
Really? What are you doing your paper on? I haven't even started mine.
Well, since I've always been interested in communication, I wanted to take a closer look at how aquatic animals communicate.
communicates. Really, Paul, you think that's interesting?
Well, yes, Alice. Actually, it's been much more interesting than I had expected it would be. I'm finding the information fascinating. I bet you'd be surprised at some of the things I've learned.
Yeah, like what?
Well, much of the world is covered by water, but it wasn't really until the first third of the 20th century that people even began to explore the depths of the ocean. Prior to its exploration, scientists just thought of it as a completely silent world. Of course, today we know it is full of sounds.
Such as?
Well, all kinds of living things in the ocean, from prawns to whales, call back and forth to each other.
How do we know that prawns talk to one another?
Good question. The answer is we listen to them. How scientists do it is through a special device called a hydrophone. Now, what a hydrophone does is convert the sound energy into electrical energy. It's a very clever device.
Kind of like a water telephone?
Well, yes. Quite like that, except the communication is only one way.
Sounds more like spying on animals to me.
Well, I suppose it is to a certain degree. Scientists can hear all kinds of sounds. Grunting, crackling, buzzing. It turns out that the ocean is quite a noisy place. Many underwater sounds have been identified, but even more still await classification. Fish in a public aquarium are quite, well, talkative. So scientists have been able to record their sounds and match them with mystery calls heard from the open sea.
So who's the noisiest in the underwater world? I'll bet it's the dolphin.
You're right, the dolphin is noisy. But by far the most widespread and persistent noisemakers are the smaller animals living in the sea. Not fish, but an animal that lives on the sea floor and grows no more than about 5 centimetres. Here, have a look at this table I've started.
Ah, I see. The snapping shrimp is the noisiest sea creature. This is interesting. It makes its sharp snapping sound with its enlarged claw, which also functions like a water pistol.
Yes, I was reading millions of these animals just offshore have been known to frighten people walking along the beach in Japan.
And this is interesting. It says here that seahorses in an aquarium made such a loud noise that people could hear them from across the room. These little creatures are amazing.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Say, Paul, your early research has really prompted me to get started on my own paper. You look like you've already done quite a lot of work on it, but the assignment isn't due for at least another month. Is that right?
Let's see, Michelle. I think you may be a little wrong there. Let me get my class folder and we'll have a look.
I know that our class participation is worth 30%, but what's this assignment worth? Isn't it 40%?
Here it is. Yes. Actually, it's worth 30%. It's the second assignment due later on that's worth 40%. It says here, okay, there are 3 pieces of assessment. There's the 2 assignments and the in-class feedback on student oral presentations, which forms part of assignment 2. Now it says that the first written assignment is composed of 3 parts.
Yes, I recall the professor talking about those, especially the word length for part 1. The research essay, it's 1200, isn't it? It's due in week 6?
Yes, that's correct for part 1, but only 800 for part 2, the field study, which is due in week 7.
Oh, that's bad news. I thought I had much more time than that. I don't know how I could have been so wrong. I guess I need to purchase a diary or I'm going to get left behind.
Yes, I write all my due dates on a monthly calendar which hangs on the wall next to my desk. I found that this has helped me to stay organised. I usually divide the project into weeks. Each week, I set aside some time for all of my assignments. For example, Part 3, the report on findings, isn't due till week 9, but I've already started working on it.
Wow, I'm impressed. I guess you lead a pretty worry-free life.
Not at all. It just means I get a little more sleep than most students around the due date of the assignment.
Well, Paul, you certainly have inspired me.
Yeah, me too.
I'll be purchasing a desk calendar as soon as I get a chance.
Well, I'm off. Alice, Michelle, it was great talking to both of you. All the best with your assignments.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of Part 3. Part 4.
You'll hear part of a lecture given by a waste recycle management's professor. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer the questions 31 to 40.
Hi everyone. This morning I'm going to talk to you about flea markets in England. At first we were surprised to learn that only 15% of people here in England make an effort to collect waste. That is lower than other European countries. Also, it might be falling within a couple of years' time unless the government makes a severe regulation for industries and local residences. The UK government's target means that by 2012 we must decrease our waste emissions by 45% compared with 2000. Local councils can offer support to meet that target by taking part in the National Green Campaign and investing in local flea markets. Most of all, these markets reduce waste emissions from landfill sites. A flea market, or swap meet, is a type of bazaar where very cheap or second-hand goods are sold or bartered for. It may be indoors, like in a warehouse or school gymnasium, or it may be outdoors, like in a field or under a tent. The flea market vendors display the goods used on the table for selling, such as a few unwanted household items to operate commerce, including a variety of used living products. Many flea markets in European countries have food vendors who sell snacks and drinks to the visitors, and may be part of a small event such as carnivals or concerts. As part of our research, our team carried out a questionnaire with people in the local area. The results said we need to open more second-hand shops. However, one problem is that there is a lack of information and marketing. To solve the problems, local councils should invest and support in flea markets by doing things like creating parking space, organising security, public promotions using the internet and other resources. We were also surprised to discover how waste such as furniture, computers, kitchen tools, and other such things are reused. And wooden furniture or electronic products are easy to recycle because they can be reused over and over again without becoming weaker. Around 3 million electronic goods are thrown away per year. Also, around 500,000 pieces of furniture are also disposed of. Only 1/5 is collected and fortunately recycled through many local flea markets. In 2009, there were around 3,000 flea markets in England. The number is increasing steadily so far. Surprisingly, by collecting under 15% of old books, lots of paper is imported, so more paper can be recycled in the UK. Europe recycles 50% of its paper, and Germany recycles 80% of its paper. When recycling launched, there were quality problems, so it was so hard to reuse paper in office sheets. However, these problems have now been solved, and Union of the Flea Markets based in East London produces high-quality recycled paper. Another union, Loving Paper, currently sells the paper that has been through a sorting process to farmers or gardeners as fertilizer. So, to sum up, there seems to be a number of activities that enable people to reuse waste, but the substantial problem is encouraging people to think twice about taking their waste to a flea market instead of throwing it away. I think the recycling program will make us save materials and protect the environment in future. And next, I'll show the plan for promoting it.
That is the end of part 4.
That is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.